Welcome to the Life of Being podcast, where we talk about all things life from a healthcare perspective all around the world. I'm your host, Kelly Tan, and in each episode, we'll dive into stories, science, and wisdom to help you live well, think deeper, and express life fully. Let's begin. Welcome to the Life of Being podcast, where we talk about all things life from a healthcare perspective all around the world. Today is a special solo episode. No guest today, just me, Kelly Tan, and also some of my reflections. We're going to recap the first half of 2026. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to every single individual, every single guest who said yes to sharing their story, to sharing their experience, their knowledge, their wisdom. It's truly an honor to be able to share your story in this platform. And this also revolves around the essence of the podcast that we've started. There is nothing as fascinating as another human being once you understand their story. So it's definitely truly an honor to be able to listen to their story, their why, their framework in decision making in each phases of their life. More often than not, even if it's someone that I've known for a long time, maybe it's my peers, my college, or even if it's just someone that I've spoken on a conference once. So you don't really just sit down and say, hey, tell me your story. Why did you make the decision? Why did you do this? Why do you think that? There are a lot of times where I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was your story. And it was really fascinating to be able to understand deeper who this person is. Now, there's a couple of updates about the podcast this year. I know we've been going almost coming up towards a year, so it's definitely a journey so far. One thing we have is we've increased the frequency. We started off bi-weekly and now we have weekly episodes, new guests, new story, new episode every week, and that has been going consistently since January and probably the end of December if I'm not mistaken. So it's great that the consistency has been there. It's more structured, more streamlined in terms of how I am able to get things produced also. Something I've been thinking, if it's a weekly schedule, it gives us up to about 52 guests and stories in a year. So as we expand, we're probably looking to get that increased also so that there's more stories coming out, more people can share their story in this platform. But that's something that we'll be looking on further down the line. Now, the second thing that has been a clarity also is who is this platform for? Who's the audience? Who's the listeners? So that's something that I am also wanting to know. The initial thought process when this platform or this podcast was created was if there is someone that I'm interested to look up or some recommendation, certain people's name that's popped up once or even multiple times that prompt me to find out and look up who this person is. So if there's any books, any interviews, any contents that this person has, I will just consume all of it and just knowing this person as a whole, like what makes this person. Why did they make the decision? What was their thought process? What was their decision framework? So that is what I'm interested and fascinated on. There's so many different stories, so many different individuals, and knowing their thinking, what prompt them to make a certain decision or certain direction has truly been fascinating for me. So that's why even when I'm trying to have conversation with people, speaking people, I tend to want to ask deep questions. I mean, that's probably what everyone tends to be, hey? But I like to understand this person as a whole, like what makes you, and why did you make that decision? And that's something that I'm interested on. And it's been a journey. I tend to get interesting answers. Yeah, that's just super interesting for me. So knowing that was why I, created this platform. So you can understand this person as a whole, not just what is written in your resume, what is written in your website. I've studied this, did this course, but then, why did you choose this? Why did you chose to pursue this direction? So that is like, super interesting for me. That brings us to the audience and the listeners that we're looking to have this platform for. I would say it will be younger you. So it will be a little bit more towards the profession. So why did you do this? Why did you chose this? But also in terms of, your life experience, like what made you do this? What was your thinking back then? And I'll say younger you would be a ideal client per se. It's the same as when I'm listening to a certain podcast. It'd be like, okay, if I had this information, I would have done this thing differently. And that's why one question that I tend to ask also is what advice would you give to younger you? So I think that, it can be quite, professional, like, hey, study the green books, study philosophy. Or it can be like, hey, don't take yourself too seriously or whatever it is. So that will be the audience for this show. Like, who's this show targeted for? It'll be for younger you. So whoever it is, be younger Kelly, if she's listening to this, whatever it is, whatever advice, whatever tips that you have, and also like sharing your story. Sometimes if this is maybe too unrelatable, maybe you want to delve deeper into the professional path, then I'll be like, okay, this is for students. Share your perspective from where you are with the experience you have, share it to a student. And then when the student listens to this, what takeaway do you want them to have also? Not just, yes, about knowing you as a person, knowing your story, but also what sort of advice would you give them? And I think getting that clarity has helped me a lot to know what sort of direction and what sort of angle that we would like to have to. So it's definitely great to be able to know who the audience is for, who's this platform for. So it's great. It's a good win. And the other one is we had our very first on-site podcast held in Mind Your Spine, Rimbayou with Dr. Angelina and Dr. Tao. So that's our first ever on-site podcast that we had. And it's not super complicated per se. It's definitely a little bit different. But it did take a little bit more time, but seeing the outcome, seeing the result, that's definitely worth it. And in the future, we might have more on-site episodes, so might be needing to plan for that. So initially, when this platform was created, this podcast was created, I was planning to reach out and invite people who has never been to an interview before, a podcast before, just to give them an opportunity to share the story and share their experience and knowledge. Because as I said, believe that everyone has their own story and everyone has things that they can share with. Some people feel like they're not, big enough or they are not experienced enough to share a story. But I always say that you're the best person for younger you. So have that and speak to the student that's in 5th year that doesn't know what to do and you've been there before. That's what I personally think. And then that we have Dr. Edmund that has mentioned that initially they didn't feel comfortable when someone invited him for a podcast episode. But when I reached out, he was like, yes. And then once it's done, he'll be like, this is like not as difficult as it seems. And that's why he then again said yes to the other interview that he has. Things like this makes it worthwhile in a way to be able to share. It's more like a stepping stone for them to share their story. And then once you've done this, you're like, oh, actually it's pretty fun to do, and then they want to do more and more, and then that means that their story will be shared to more platforms and more people will be able to understand who they are per se, but also what it is that they want to share. The other example that we have is one client was looking at a specific practice and there was quite a few different practitioners and doctors in the practice. Even if the person wants a female practitioner, there's quite a few different people. And then when the client was looking up this person's name, the episode popped up. The client had listened and then decided that she likes the person. So that is Dr. Sashlin Paediatrics, our very first guest in Life of Being podcast. So when she mentioned that, I was like, wow, that actually, that just made my day. So yeah, there's probably more people, it's different corners of the world that's changed them, that has planted their seat in listening to this certain episode or certain guest, and something has planted in your mind and things will slowly sprout, perhaps. I don't know. But if you've learned anything, if any specific guest is your favorite, just reach out, let me know. I'm definitely keen to hear from your perspective. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out the guests that we had so far from January towards June. And also I'm going to have a bit of reflecting on a common theme that's popped up in multiple different people and conversation. And also I'm going to have a category directory that we have, so that if there's a certain topic that you're interested in, you can listen to a specific episode or specific guest. To give context, usually when the episode is up that week, it's probably not recorded like yesterday. It takes some time to get the post-production edit. I do write a blog post for each guest and each episode. And then there's clips being cut for YouTube Shorts and also for IG. I do post it in TikTok also for documentation. So that takes a bit of time. So when the episode is uploaded on that specific week, it's probably not yesterday. We also have quite a few episodes that's been in the pipeline scheduled for the next couple of weeks, in the next 2 months or so also. So definitely tune in. Great episodes coming up each week. So we started off 2026 with Dr. Sean Chan from Scotland. Episode 9. Episode 10, Tona Telesphone Hughes from the UK. Episode 11, Dr. Sean Rai from Singapore. Episode 12, Tan Ri Ping from Malaysia, and she's the only physio so far in this platform, but we're looking to invite more different healthcare professions outside of chiropractic in the future also. Episode 13, we have Dr. Vismay Schoenfelder from Singapore. Episode 14, Dr. Andrea Cecchi from Turin, Italy. Dr. Cedric Lee from Malaysia. Episode 15. Episode 16, we have Dr. Spiridula Papadimitriou from Greece. We have episode 17, Dr. Lewis Sumner from the UK. Episode 18, Dr. Sophie Ramelow from London. Episode 19, Dr. Marina Papadimitriou from Greece. Yes, both of them are sister, Dr. Lula and Dr. Marina. So you have to listen to both episodes. Episode 20, we have Dr. Robin Cassidy from the UK. Episode 21, we have Dr. Javier Santamaria from Spain. Episode 22, we have Dr. Donna Francis from Scotland. Episode 23, we have Dr. Jack Warburton from the UK. Episode 24, we have Dr. Jyoti Schoenfelder from Singapore. Episode 25 is our first on-site podcast. We have Dr. Angelina and Dr. Tao from Malaysia. Episode 26, we have Dr. Nicola Perini from Italy. Episode 27, we have Dr. Robin Broth from Australia. Episode 28, we have Dr. Martin Harvey from Australia. Episode 29, we have Dr. Wong Yi Kai from Malaysia. And episode 30, we have Dr. Marianne Shiozawa that was uploaded last week. So that brings us to 22 beautiful human being that has shared their story in this platform so far. So there are a couple of common themes that has popped up throughout a couple of guests and conversation. The first one is to surround yourself with like-minded people. So find your group, find your tribe, find your people. And this is very helpful, especially when you're just starting out understanding or wanting to understand deeper. Say, if you understand deeper what chiropractic philosophy is, or looking for motherhood, what do you do? Or like starting a practice, what do I do? So find like-minded people, find your tribe. And that's the environment that's conducive for your journey and growth also. This statement has came up quite a few times, especially when asked what sort of resources or what sort of books you'd recommend. They'll give some book titles that they recommend, but also more importantly, they share that find someone that you can bounce idea with, or find someone you can ask questions with and grow together. So this can be a form of going to conferences, going to seminars, or even just reaching out to, listening to different podcasts, this podcast or other podcasts, or reaching out to people. More often than not, people are so willing to help with maybe you're a student or maybe you're a fresh grad who you're lost. As you said, yeah, you can read the books, you can read the green books, the blue books, you can read the article, you can read the text. But sometimes, as I said, if you're starting off, it's probably not easy for you to understand. And that's when you have someone to talk about with, discuss with, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a peer, colleague, and then that's when you are able to accelerate your understanding and your growth also, okay? So questions that I tend to get after this is like, okay, I know to find books and reach out to conferences, so which one should I join? There's a couple of conferences that I find super helpful, at least for me. We're talking about the UK and the Europe side. We have the UCA, the United Chiropractic Association. They have their annual conference, the Chiropractic Essential, the CE, is one of the biggest conference in the UK where all the chiropractors, CAs, and family, they all gather around and have an amazing weekend with great speakers. And as I said, more importantly, is the community and the people over there. So that is usually held, I like to say probably October. So like the second half of the year, you can go search their website and understand how you can sign up for this. Secondly is the Scotland Chiropractic College. They have their annual Edinburgh lecture, and that's usually held in June. The one this year was last week, so you can look up to their website and also find out when is the next date for next year. Super great event, TL, and definitely great people over there also. So this is two, and then the other one is if it's a student or even like people, reach out to other successful chiropractors who you find that you want to be like in a way. So like just go, if you're, especially when you're a student, shadow people. People are, as I said, more willing to help. Second common theme that we get is also going along the lines with that is don't do it alone. Don't think that you need to go through this growing phase or going through this journey alone. Chiropractic is hard already, as Dr. Vismai has mentioned, but his advice was don't do it alone. Reach out to people, find mentors, find people, again, find your tribe. The other theme that I've been listening to different people is to trust yourself, to trust your instinct, to trust your gut. So this can come in the form of your body, your health. If your body thinks that this, maybe say this direction doesn't resonate with you, doesn't align with yourself, then just trust yourself. Just say no. Or if this medication is giving you some sort of weird side effects and you think it is, and yeah, trust yourself. And you can definitely seek professionals, but also at the same time, it's very important for you to discern and critically think, have your own judgment. And that's super important, especially in this era where you have all the information in your hand. And that begs the question, the most important is how do you discern that this is right and this is false information and this is accurate information. So that's super important. The next one we have is to find your flow and also to find your rhythm. And this comes a lot from Dr. Vismai. I don't know if this is a Singaporean or an Asian thing that I've been hearing, but even when I've been to the Asia Chiropractic Summit in Singapore 2 weekends ago, there's two different people that was also saying the same thing, just find your flow, finding your direction. And one was a surfer, which Dr. Vismai is a surfer also. That person was saying that, when you're surfing. So when you're surfing, and I'm not a surfer actually, just saying anyways, but when he was explaining the analogy, that's what he explained to me. Okay, so when you're surfing and then you decided that that's the wave that you're going to catch. So you just put all the way out, catch the wave, ride the wave, and then when it settles down, you repeat. You find another wave, ride the wave. So it's more like finding a flow, finding a rhythm. And I think that's super interesting. And that gives also some sort of understanding in terms of, sometimes, at least for myself, I tend to be like, which direction I should take, what decision, which one should I take? I guess the saying is right that you tend to get some certain sentence hits you differently at different points of your life. More often than not, the advice was also specific to the certain situation that you are. It's not because of, maybe there's direction that you will take per se, but also at the same time is now that you're in this situation, you have this understanding and this perspective, and maybe that's why you interpret a certain situation in that certain way. So yeah. The other one is to be authentically yourself. And that ties in with trusting yourself, trusting your instinct, trusting your gut. So be authentically yourself. And you can't please everyone per se. You're not a pizza. But as long as you are true to who you are and you make decisions based on finding the flow, finding the rhythm, trusting yourself. So I think that's some of the messages that's been repeating throughout a couple of different conversations and different guests that we've been speaking to. Other than the conferences that I mentioned, other than shadowing people, whether it's local to you or even reach out if it's like a different country to you. The other program, the other course that I highly recommend is the Academy of Chiropractic Philosophy program by Sherman College. This course has had a huge impact to who I am today and to having this understanding in what chiropractic actually is. And this is something that we have discussed together with Dr. Marina in episode 19. We've also spoke about how when you're asking what chiropractic is, you don't usually ask what's the chiropractic philosophy per se, because chiropractic is chiropractic and it's not chiropractic without its philosophy. So as much as sometimes people tend to ask, what's the chiropractic philosophy? Truly, without the chiropractic philosophy, it's not chiropractic. But the ACP has impact and influenced me and shaping me to who I am today. Yes, we do study materials, but more importantly is that environment you're in, the people that you're studying with and the people that you're studying from, the lecturers, is their wisdom, their knowledge is years ahead of you. So to be able to learn from people like them, to ask questions, again, the intellectual discussion has also made me understand deeper. There's more things to learn. I'm just starting. So yeah, highly recommend go to their website. As I said, I'll leave all the information in the description below. And if there's any further question, feel free to reach out. I've categorized a directory for certain topics. So if you're interested in understanding certain topics, you can just go to the specific guest per se, or if there's specific guests that you already want to understand deeper, go to their episode and just listen to understand. So starting off with understanding chiropractic philosophy, we have episode 16 with Dr. Lula, episode 19 with Dr. Marina, episode 12, Dr. Sean Rai, episode 11, Dr. Cedric, episode 21, Dr. Javier Santamaria, Dr. Andrea Cecchi, episode 15, and Dr. Donald Francis, episode 22. So those episodes, we talk a lot more about the chiropractic and also the chiropractic philosophy. We're looking towards mastery and also ties into growth. We have Dr. Sean Chan, episode 9, Dr. Robin Cassidy, episode 20, Dr. Nicola Perini, episode 26, Dr. Lewis Sumner, episode 17, Dr. Jack Warburton, episode 22. 3 of them was also talking about starting up their practice, so you can definitely listen to them. Dan Riping, episode 13, Dr. Wong Yikai, episode 29. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to the first few episodes. Most of them was also talking about mastery, also talking about growth. So we have Dr. Sashalin Padiachi, episode 1, Dr. Renita Rasman, episode 2, Dr. Rebecca Leong, episode 3, Dr. Fabrizio Marino, episode 4, which also shared a couple of interesting analogy that you can listen to. Episode 6, Dr. Jacobs Colin. Episode 7, Dr. Danny Scahill. Episode 8, Dr. Edmund So. Moving on with the topic of being authentically yourself, we have Tona, episode 10, Dr. Sophie Rambelow, episode 18, Dr. Jyoti, episode 24, Dr. Marianne, episode 30, and also from 2025, we have Dr. Liam Burke, episode 5. They talk about coming back to yourself, trusting yourself, and also talking about different aspects of life also. If you're looking to understand deeper in terms of building a community and rhythm, Dr. Vismay, episode 14, will be your go-to episode. If you're looking to understand deeper in terms of communication, Dr. Martin Harvey, that's episode 28. For students and fresh grads in particular, Dr. Robin Broth, episode 27, is a must listen. And for the first on-site podcast that we have, which talks about SOT, talks about pediatric, talks about pregnancy, episode 25 with Dr. Angelina and Dr. Tao would be the episode for you to listen. So I should have covered all of the episodes. And as I said, I'll leave the directory in the description below so you can check the episodes out and learn something. That's all for recapping the first half of 2026. In the next half of 2026, we'll look forward to still giving consistent episode out each week and looking to continue developing and elevating the platform so that more people can listen to the stories and the wisdom that everyone has inside of them. So as I said, I'll leave all the links, all the resources that I've mentioned in the description below. If there's anything you'd like to share, if there's any question that you have, you can definitely reach out. As I said, this episode, wherever you listen to, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or you can reach out to the social media. We have Life of Being Pod in Instagram, more active in that, or you can just send an email and I'll be happy to help as much as I can. That's all for this episode. Thank you again for every single individual, every single guest that shared their story, and more importantly to every single one of you that's listened to the episode, that gave us your feedback, your sharing what you've learned, sharing what your takeaway point is. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care of yourself and take care of your being. Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Being podcast. Let us know what is your one key takeaway from this episode. And if this conversation inspired you, share it with a friend who might find it helpful today. Until next time, take care of your health and take care of your being.